This is where you take a big swig of your Gatorade bottle water.
It's funny, right?
Because that's always the picture it captures.
It is, but last week's the only week I didn't do that, and we could have used the water to put out the fire.
That's great. That's great. All right, everyone. Welcome to Chicago Landlord Secrets. We're back here. I think this is week 26. Last week we were coming off of doing the show in person, which I thought was a lot of fun. I thought it came out really good. So I'm not sure if we just went live right now, but I'll say it again. Welcome everybody to Chicago Landlord Secrets. We're back after doing a live episode in person last week, which was a lot of fun. We had our guest Pablo Gonzalez in here, and we did hear from the underground. So, Tim, thank you for making the trek out here. I know that wasn't a short distance for you.
Absolutely. It's always fun to come and explore the underground and see your podcast studio, and see how it's made live is cool. So.
Yeah, I'm grateful to. I couldn't have done it without Matt Burns, my guy, my newer guy in the office, was able to figure out the tech part. So, which is kind of cool because I have him and I have Javier both here right now. So watching them together is cool. But man, I'm excited because tonight's the summer soiree. Right? You're going, right?
Yep. Tonight's the night.
All right, so I get to see you 2 weeks in a row, man. How about that?
Yep.
So anyone that's interested, man, you got to come on out summer soiree. Maybe we could throw an invite in the chat there. Or we could throw MBOAchicago.com. It's gonna be a great event. We're gonna be actually recording a Straight Up Chicago Investor podcast there tonight, and which basically would be us interviewing 10 or 12 people for 5-7 minutes each, whoever we can find interesting or who's willing to come on camera. So I'm excited about that.
So are you going early, or are you doing it while everyone's there?
We're doing it while everyone's there. So we're gonna have probably a room off to the side. Now I'm physically going early because I live out here in the suburbs. So I think we're leaving. After I'm done recording here, I'm going to take off. I got to stop at a building we took over in Portage Park, and then I'm going to head up to I believe it's in Rogers Park there. But yeah, no, we're going to start getting recording there. That the event starts at 5:30, so we'll probably start recording around there and then record for an hour and a half. But what we did at the last event we did with Renovo is we would record somebody, go out, hang a little bit. I'm like, hey, you want to go do a quick episode? And we go bring somebody back, and it's almost like we went and like lured people in. So, but it's cool.
Nice, that's cool.
Are you sponsoring? You got a table? You got to be managing?
We don't. I'm gonna be walking around. I'll be there. My guy will be there with me. Dave, if any of you guys have met him before, so we'll have some representation walking around, and there's a lot of people to talk to, and a lot of it's definitely the party of the year. You convinced me to go last year, and even though we work on the south side, majority of our work and everything, I think I knew probably half the people there. And some of them I haven't seen in a year or two, and it was good to catch up with everyone. So yeah, it's a fun event, guys. They're going to have, like you said, it starts at 5:30. I know that it's open bar. They got their little speech at 7. And then I enjoyed last year. They have the cigar lounge, the sponsored cigar lounge at 8. So it's always a good time.
Nice. Well, man, we're going there tonight and we're supporting the MBOA, who represents a lot of the people that Yumi work for, talk to, our own properties. Like they really represent the landlord that owns 1 to 18 unit type buildings, call it anything from a condo to the walk-ups and all the laws and the rules that are being talked about being passed. So if you go tonight, you're definitely supporting your own cause that is ultimately going to make you money somewhere probably down the road. So, or at least protect your freedoms, I guess, is a lot of, if you're going to look at it as a patriotic approach to why you're going tonight. So, but other than that, man, what else is going on? What's going on in the property space?
So I think before dig into that a little more, because I saw something that I want to talk about on the politics side really quick, but it was brought up actually at the MBOA event that we went to. The one that you guys sponsored, the Landlord. What was that? I forget what the event was. It was 3 months ago, 4 months ago.
Is where I got to meet my one of my heroes, Rahm Emanuel. So it was that MBOA PAC event. I think that's their annual fundraiser for the PAC.
Yeah, but we just had our there's a ton of primaries on Tuesday, so there's a lot of political talk in the news. And then I was reading a story about the school board, the CPS school board, and this, I didn't understand how this worked until that event. So if you weren't there, I want to sort of go through it really quick. But they're talking about the the school board, the story I was reading on how CPS was set to like 300 or 400 people. And then at the last minute, the board rejected the proposal for the budget. And now there's something like $150 million over budget for this year and hoping the state bails them out. The part that I didn't realize until that event is so Cook County, your property taxes, right? The aldermen in Cook County, they come up with the budget, they have their portion. But then the school board by themselves also controls a portion of the amount for your property taxes. And so if they vote you can have your property taxes set at, X, and the school board can say, hey, we need another 100 million. And all of a sudden that has to get spread about everyone, which is, that's what the assessor's job is to spread it apart. But the budget is one part, but the school board has a completely separate budget that automatically goes into property taxes. The reason I'm bringing all this up is the people that voted to not actually be on budget and need 150 million were the people that the mayor put in. So the board right now is half elected and half appointed by the mayor. And the people that the mayor put in is the ones that are basically fiscally saying, hey, whatever, we'll figure it out. We're going to go get $150 million from you guys. This November, when that election comes up, the entire school board will be elected. So this November is going to be a huge thing in terms of electing school boards and doing our research as property owners to make sure that we have a good balance of, yes, I don't want our schools to go to shit and I want them to be good, but there has to be some kind of balance where property taxes aren't going up 300% again like they did a couple of years ago to fund it. So it's something for you guys out there to start researching and start looking in who's in your district and who you're voting for, et cetera, for November, because that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we had Ignacio Gonzalez on the podcast. He's a police officer. He's an investor in Back of the Yards neighborhood. He is actually running for the board down there in the Back of the Yards neighborhood. I'm not sure what part of the district it is or how it's broken out, but he has a lot to speak about it. So I'll drop the episode in there. But again, he's all about the reform, the change. And I believe you said this, but that overrun is because they got all this money during COVID, and then they never pulled back when those funds that were not permanent were no longer provided. Is that what you said? Because that's what I heard.
I didn't say that, but that's what I've heard. There's a lot of overspending. I mean, there's always has been, but it's politicians really love spending money. I'll just put it that way. No matter where they're at, and the school board is very political right now, especially when you're appointed by the mayor, and the mayor comes. If you know the history, a lot of his money and his running came from the school board because he was a former CTU member and ran the union for the teachers for a while. So there was a lot there happening. And so he's got that backing right now.
Is there any word on who they're going to back this next round? I imagine it's too far out, but I don't think he's going to have the support of them this next round.
I mean, he technically has he announced that he's running yet?
He hasn't announced he's running yet, but I don't know if the CTU is throwing their weight behind anybody. Usually they wait to see all the players in the field, but I'm pretty excited about Alexi Julius coming out this past Sunday and announcing his run, because I know he'd be a cool mayor.
That man had commercials about him being mayor for the last 2 months, but somehow still wasn't officially in the race, which I was like, dude, you're in. Like, no one's sitting there being like, this guy's not going to run. But I found that funny because I've been seeing stuff.
He's super efficient. He was using the money to tell everybody what he's done for the Secretary of State. He's probably using the Secretary of State's budget.
Yep.
But yeah, at the same time, man, what he's done at the Secretary of State. Now, I don't know how much of this came down from him or people he's hired, but no matter what, it happened on his clock, right? That's what we always chalk it up to be. Yep. It happened good or bad on your clock. And he's, man, I don't know if you've been to the DMV lately, but you walk into the DMV, it is pretty, it's not your 1990s DMV anymore.
Now, my question is, though, because I think since COVID, the DMV experience, you know, there's always like that silver lining of something good that comes from something really bad. Yeah. I think COVID fixed the DMV in the sense of like forcing everyone to have appointments. And they haven't stopped that yet, at least at the ones by me, where you still have to make appointments for most things. You can go in and buy a sticker or like do small things, but like if you want to get a new driver's license, you got to make an appointment. And when you make that appointment for 9, you're out of there by like 9:20.
Yeah,
It's
it's beautiful. I
it's
mean, it's
great.
not the old. You remember the old system where it's like you go to the deli and you pull the
Yeah,
tab, the
you
number,
pull
and
the
you go
tag.
sit
They tell
down.
you to go stand over there. Then an hour later, you get called up. They take your picture for the photo, and then they go, "All right, go sit over there for another hour." And it was,
Yes, yeah, they have stations, and then God forbid you forgot the one thing the second thing that's got your name on it that you need for proof, and
Mhm.
it's like you do it all for nothing. So it's like that. It's a very stressful hour,
Yeah,
wondering like, are they going to accept the paperwork or the documentation I have because this is all I got, like type moment. So yeah, I know, super stressful
so,
experience that has been simplified
I don't.
under his
I give
administration.
him I give him credit for realizing it was working and keeping it. I don't know. I mean, he didn't. I don't know if I'm giving him credit for creating it, but a lot of people will take something that's working and go, no, it has to go back to the old way. So I give him credit for that.
Yeah, so we'll see. I think if I had to throw my, I've been on his bus for a really long time, and I'm hoping Ram ends up running for president as well too, up in 2028. So I think I don't know. Obviously, the political parties end up being the ones that make those decisions, but I think if it's people that have the best interests of people in mind, that
Mm-hmm.
human element, I think Ram is man. He knows his way around the world. He knows his way around the White House. Like so, like he'd be a great president. I think.
Not. I know we're not a political show, so I won't go too deep into this. But generally speaking, I think you are correct. Where the caucus whether we vote, right, but the caucus is really determining who's gonna run for the primaries.
Who you're voting for,
Who
or
you're voting for. I think Michigan just turned the tables on that a little bit on Tuesday. The person that was getting $70 million from the Democratic Party to run lost to the person that was grassrooting. So we'll see if that sticks anywhere else. But maybe some of these people that we didn't think had a shot will. So what
gotcha.
else you got on your plate?
None. We had Jim McMahon from Property Sentinel on the podcast earlier today, and we were talking about the 311 service. I'm not sure if you signed up for that, but we talked about what he offers on his website. I think it's Property Sentinel.io, and we use it for getting 311 notifications. So if and it's not even our tenants, right? We try to talk to our tenants. You want your
Yeah.
tenants to be able to call you, like that's the
Yep.
rapport you want. If your tenants are calling 311 and not calling you, that's a problem. But one thing we realized through this process, since we've been using them for like the last 8 weeks, was that a lot of times neighbors call 311 on your
Mm-hmm.
tenant
Mm-hmm.
because their lawn's too long or something like that, and that gave us the insight to be able to reach right out to the tenant and say, hey, listen, someone in the neighborhood's calling on you, or the alderman's calling you, like you got to get this cut, otherwise there's gonna be a big fine. So it's actually gives some insight on that, which has been super helpful, and it helps the tenant too if they know they're on a deadline, even though they should have cut their lawn already.
Yeah, we haven't signed up yet for it, but I talked to him, and first off, what a name to have. At least for now, he's got like another year or two of having a great Chicago name until Caleb goes and wins one for us. But but Jim McMahon's about as Chicago legendary of a name you can have.
Yep.
So can you, for people listening, is that something that you need to have a big portfolio for? I don't know if you know this or not, or can you go and say, hey, I got 2 doors, can I sign them up?
Yeah, I believe there's a minimum charge. It's not that crazy, but I think it ends up making sense if you have like 6 or 6 to 10 more addresses. So it's more about a property, right? So if you
Property
have
net doors, correct. Yep.
a 6 flat, you technically only need 1 311 kind of address lookup. And for condos, I don't think it makes sense. So we originally had all of our condos in there, and it's like, all right, great. Trash behind the building of a 400 unit condo building on South Michigan Avenue, or it's like rats.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, or somebody reported bed bugs at your building somewhere. It's like, all right, it's great to know, but more than likely that's 17 floors away from my unit, and it's not a big deal. And I'll never know either. So it was kind of pointless. But so if you got scattered properties around the city, he told me this. It was crazy. It was 2 million inquiries a year, 311. It's like basically every 30 seconds.
Yeah. I've been on hold for a while with them, so I know they get busy, especially the last 2 weeks. I'm sure their phone during that tornado and the windstorm and the next few days after were ringing off the hook.
Yeah, we talked about that on the show of how it ticks up with weather events. Now, for the weather events, how that service helped us was the ability to, like, a tenant might reported that a tree fell on the ComEd line, but that might not have been something they called us on. So we were at least able to see that
Hmm.
reach out to the tenant. Hey, make sure if they don't get a hold of you, let me know. We'll call the alderman or something like that. Or maybe they called because a tree is leaning or something like that in the parkway, and it's like, well, if they don't do it, let me know. But it gives us kind of this glimpse to. It gives us a reason to reach out and just say, hey, I saw this happen. Let me know. Or that sucks that happened. Let us know how we can help you. So I think for we had power out for one of them. The tree was down, but she didn't necessarily call us right away because she knew we couldn't really solve it. She's like, I got comment working on it, so that's why I didn't call you guys. But we at least got her water. We got her some. We got her like a generator that could kind of at least run her AC and stuff like that because it got pretty hot at those days after. So it was just super valuable in that sense to be able to kind of help clients in ways that I guess we didn't have the line of sight on. Line of sight's big when it comes to scattered site or having a property manager company, as you know.
Hmm. Absolutely. So I got.
The
Go ahead.
I was gonna bring up leasing, man. Leasing right now
Yeah.
is, we're creating some challenges amongst our team just to see how many units we could get rented in the next 30 days. Because we talked about this in recent episodes of the season's coming harder and faster to an end as the rental period kind of comes to a normalcy of what it might have been in for decades, right? Is always kind of
Yep.
that March, April to Labor Day, and we're just trying to do everything we can to get that those properties rented beforehand. So I don't know what type of push you guys got right now or any incentives you have. I'd be curious.
So we're doing. I mean, we've actually seen an uptick since like mid-July in leads and showings and everything and applications. We're having the last 2 weeks or whatever. I don't know why we're getting picked on, but we've been having issues with the villages and their timelines. We've talked about a ton about CHA and hack timelines and taking forever. We had one village. We got inspected for occupancy before we even put it on the market. It passed. We were good to go. We go to get the occupancy certificate once we have the tenant, and they go, well, we have a new building inspector the old ones don't count anymore. We need to re-inspect it. And all of a sudden now they want an outlet in our island.
Oh no. That is state law. That is state law, but that's usually not something that the city brings up. Usually,
yeah. And that's one of the weird, because it is state law, but also I thought you have to have power, but you can't have an outlet in electric code.
Yeah, they just don't want the cords going across, which is the
right.
thing.
So it's interesting. I don't know. Like I said, I think electric code the new electric code actually says you're not allowed to have outlets on the side of it.
Gotcha.
So, but the village is going to force them to do it, which is sort of counterintuitive.
Well, what usually they hold, I guess they do hold the line sometimes to GFCIs.
Yeah.
All those towns do. So that's something. Now, one thing, what we've done in the past, sometimes you go and we'll take over a garage where they had 9 outlets. Maybe the guy, at some point somebody had a workshop in there. It was a little more, man cave-ish, and they had electric everywhere. So what we've done as a hack of instead of putting everything on one GFCI or wiring it to be all on one line, we'll just cap 8 of the outlets and keep the one next to the door or something like that. So they're getting big on that with that. And the other thing, they make sure you always have that outlet right next to the opener if you have an opener in the garage. So that's something that it used to be. It was only a few years ago that they made GFCIs. It used to be just within 6 feet of water. Now they moved it to garages just recently as well. So that's where it's been getting us here and there.
No, it's interesting. I got another fun story. I think we should do a new segment. No good deed goes unpunished. But we had a client who he just buys the building. The neighbor, we put our sign up within 24 hours of us putting the sign up. The neighbor's son calls and complaining about how the tree is impeding into the neighbor's yard, and the roots are growing too high. Which, by the way, this is a good reminder for this, right? Especially after all those storms we talked about a little bit. But if the tree is in your property and falls in your property, you are responsible for cleaning up yourself. But if a tree falls from someone's property to yours or is growing, if a branch grows into your property, it's 100% on you to cut that.
Yeah.
However, my client decided to be nice and offered to go ahead and remove the tree for them because it's an elderly lady and there's other things going on. So part of having the guy come out for the tree, we had to remove the fence. They were okay with it, signed off on it. We're all good. But we removed the fence the day before the tornado.
Yeah.
The tree removal companies are very busy right now. Even though they were scheduled to go out, they have not been out yet. And so we got another call yesterday threatening to sue us because we opened up the fence of his mom's yard and haven't put it back yet.
Man.
It's my monthly reminder that you're not a real company until you have threats of lawsuits against you. Same thing as being a landlord. Like, you're not big enough if you've never gotten sued.
The problem is, I think, as a property manager or even as an entrepreneur, you try to create as least amount of friction in your day, right?
Yeah.
You maybe give in on some fights that aren't worth fighting, or you don't die on the hill on that particular hill for something that, it is what it is, or you won't care about 2 years from now. Or you pay the extra $100, or the whole saying, "I'd rather be rich than be right." Like I think landlords and entrepreneurs are kind of two of the same, kind of do that. And when you run into the people that don't have anything better to do, or want to fight the fight, or want to flex, or maybe they never got hugged enough when they're kids and they want to be mean now. Like it's so frustrating. It's like, come on, man. That's literally the come on, man type feeling you get.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's a good lesson for, especially if Chicago does pass those laws we're talking about with the just cause eviction, and we start to see some of these other laws coming through. The making exceptions for tenants, right? Like, you feel bad for your tenant, and then all of a sudden you go, okay, let me give him a break because it's an elderly person, and I know they're short on cash. I know they're limited income, and this happened. I'm going to give them a break. We're getting to a point with these laws as they come through where you're going to get sued because you started evicting tenant X when they were 30 days behind, and their defense is going to be, you didn't evict the other person, or the other person missed 3 payments, but you didn't non-renew them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it just makes you a lot less flexible with that. It's no good deed goes unpunished. That I'm going to punish that. That's the shame sometimes of that. And that's what some of these laws push you to. And the thing that stinks, and you and me both know this, it's like all these laws get created because of, the whole 80-20 rule. 20% of landlords are issues, or 20% of the tenants are complaining, and the rest of it is just working. And now we have to follow these guidelines. No different than contracts, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we all, my management agreement is 18 pages, and it probably, 20 years ago would have just been 1 page. But it's like, because of this, and the only reason our management agreement changes every year, it's like, oh, some guy didn't read this right, and he wants to claim this, and he's trying to screw us with this. So it's like, now let's add another paragraph to clarify. It's like, so now it gets another 3% longer. So that's the shame of it. So, but
I was talking at dinner. I was talking to we started talking about Texas Roadhouse. And you remember how you used to get the peanuts and just throw them on the floor?
Yeah.
You know why they stopped that? We looked it up yesterday.
What was it? Allergies?
No, someone slipped and fell.
Come on. They threw away their entire business model and their whole personality because someone slipped and fell?
Uh-huh.
Peanut allergies I could have lived with. Like, I was okay with that. But
right.
Oh man, that sucks, dude. Like, really.
Yeah, but this is a very Sue happy world we live in, and so you just got to work that.
Well, the problem is, and going back to the whole, for landlords, I think you saying Sue happy, you made the comment before, if you do this long enough, you are going to get sued, you are going to get legally threatened, and it kind of ties into insurance, and you have your homeowner's insurance to be able to defend you, because usually the problem that you're getting sued over, maybe it's not putting the fence back up, or replacing a fence, or a damaged fence, or whatever. Those are usually kind of a couple $1,000 problems, but the ability to defend it and then potentially risk having to pay for both sides of attorney fees due to some sort of legal reason, like, that's where it gets costly. And that's why you have insurance, and that's why you make sure that you meet with your insurance guy every year to make sure you got the best coverage, or the right coverage. I guess the best coverage might get too expensive, and you have to sometimes self-assured, but like that's it right there, man. We you know, as you probably do, we have all of our clients put us on as additional insured, and a lot
Yep.
of clients are like, well, what if you do something wrong? Like, I don't want you to cover. I'm like, no, that's hardly what that's for. It's really for you and me been doing business for 8 hours now, and tomorrow when somebody walks by and slips and falls, they're going to sue you, they're going to sue the HOA, they're going to sue the neighbor, they're going to sue the city, and they're going to sue us. And the cost to defend that is something we want to make sure is not something that we have to bear on our own, and it's something that, you know, it's more the no fault reason. It's like, you know, it was not our fault, so, you know, we're not going to defend it type thing. So
To,
that's where you have to be looking out for yourself.
to your point, here's the craziest one that we're involved with right now. Someone got cut on a broken window in June of 2025. Our client bought the property in July of 2025, and we started management in August of 2025. We are being sued for that cut.
Yeah, it's you
Like,
get dragged into anything.
I don't know how to get in a time machine and go back into. I never heard of this property or been there before, but that is when, you know, like you said, that's and for the attorney to go to court and say, hey, here's the PM agreement. They had no control of this building. Here's the sales contract. They had no control of this building. That's a couple grand.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where it's at.
And a whole bunch of headaches too. So we have a question out here. Mosin said maintenance cost is the second highest owner cancellation reason for short-term rentals. Do you think it's the same case in long-term rentals? What do you think?
So I think two things. One comment as well of what the first highest. I'm curious what the number one highest is, if that's second. I think since COVID, maintenance costs, just the supply chain issues, the minimum wage issues, even what people have to understand is that the grocery prices affect plumbing prices, because the plumber needs to eat and go to the grocery store. So when his groceries go up, his prices go up, and everything goes up. I think it's really, for us, we don't necessarily get a whole lot of maintenance pricing cancellations, but we are very proactive in educating our clients on, hey, this is the average price of this. This is, these are Steel's sending out a newsletter and just saying, hey, just so you guys know, steel is going up in the next couple months. Roofing, they might have got an email from us 6 months ago talking about roofing supplies going up with all the tariffs. And then when they need a roof, we can point back to that, and they're aware of the pricing. So I think that's a huge one. What are you saying?
Yeah, I think the education of it is important. I think the one thing that we try to do is chalk everything up to time and material, right? I think on the surface, things can seem appear expensive, but then it's like, all right, what's the real scope of work here, and what's the real time involved? Is it that much higher because you have to have two guys on the job because one guy's got to be there to hold a ladder, or you have to have a second guy there because it's too heavy? So I think you run into that as being a way to solve that, I guess. Don't get me wrong. You always, I think what we compete with a lot in property management is, I could have done it for blank. And yes, and I could have done for blank usually accounts for the owner doing it themselves, not accounting for the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Materials usually cost the same, but if I have to send a tech out for $95 an hour, but you go do it yourself, your time's still worth something. You're just not having to pay anyone for it.
Yep.
And then the other piece is, I got a guy that might be illegal, definitely doesn't have insurance, and is not, a genuine vendor. So we all got those guys. Like, for some reason in your life, we all have those go-to cheap solution type guys. So that's what you compete with. And as a property management company, I imagine most of these company is the same. You have licensed vendors that are going to people's houses when they're occupied. You want to make sure they're insured. You want to make sure they're legit. You want to make sure they have good star ratings. So it is an ever battle, but I think to stay out front of it, you have to educate and just be as transparent as possible. Because here's the thing: we still get accused sometimes for being too expensive, but you could usually trace it back to not enough communication or not being transparent enough on exactly what the problem we're trying to solve.
I definitely think that one of the biggest complaints my PMs get, that are the things that they have to firefight, for lack of a better term, is an invoice comes through and it says replace faucet, right? And it's $600. But what really happened is they replaced the faucet and had to replace the piping going under and had to rot out, the main sewer line. And like when they don't write enough in the invoices, I think a lot of clients get confused. He responded, lower bookings are the first reason. I will say that I think that's where long and short PMs are going to experience the same thing. I think the number one cancellation thing that we see is if we can't rent out a property fast enough or we can't find a tenant for it. That's generally the number one cancellation for us. But I don't know what you see.
Well, here, I think the big, where everything kind of goes full circle is I think tenants not having maintenance handled properly or to their liking, or there's something not being done, leads to them moving out, which leads to a vacancy, which at the time a property is vacant is the easiest transition period for an owner to say, hey, I'm going to try something different, or I'm going to take this back myself, or I'm going to sell. So I can't speak to the short-term game, but obviously that's your number one. That's probably your number one metric is days rented, I guess, or percentage of days rented versus how many days are available. So I know for you and me, it ends up being that cycle of if we could keep tenants in there, which means we have to keep them happy, which means usually keeping happy is around maintenance and their level of comfort in their home, then that could definitely account for where our churn is at.
We got someone watching from Hawaii. We're going national.
Yeah, this guy's great. Financial firefighter. If you ever check out stuff, I got to be on a podcast with him recently on a panel. So
that's awesome.
Great guy, man.
What else you got on your plate?
Nothing. Nothing crazy that I have. As we'll wrap up here in a few minutes. But fall's here already, man. So I guess in a couple of weeks we're gonna start putting together our HVAC vendors to go out and start talking furnace cleaning. So as much as it's 90 degrees today, it's hard to say that, but that's the reality of where we're going with the season.
I'm curious what you guys are doing, if you know this yet, but we normally do one gutter cleaning a year in the spring, and generally, unless like a building has just a ton of trees over it, that suffice enough to keep everything at bay. We're really debating internally right now because of all the storms that been just crazy with storms of doing it again in the fall. Do you guys do it once or twice, or where are you guys at with that? Speaking of fall.
So when we sign someone up, we usually do it based on the property. If there's no trees, you got some new construction neighborhoods. It's like I probably don't have to do this for a while, for the most part. But then you have some places like there's more trees over the house than there is shingles, and then you have to kind of think about it that way. So we're just very strategic on tree placement. We don't have a one kind of approach to it.
No, and I think that's a big one we've been talking about with the storms too, right? Is just if you do have trees over your roof, you can save a lot of money in downtime having someone cut those versus an emergency time having to go and take them off your roof and then having a roofer have to fix it. So, insurance companies hate it too, and they'll cancel you for it if you got tree branches too close.
Yeah, when our guys are going out to the properties, they're doing PCR reports, property condition reports. And we'll get a lot of reports of those. It's very easy to see from the ground when you have branches sticking out or whatnot. So I think the other end of that preventive maintenance ends up being where your gutters are running off to. Mm-hmm. I think too often it's too easy to let the downspout that extends 8-10 feet out away from the foundation just be cut off at the end, and it's just going right to your foundation, which if you have a basement or crawl, it could be an issue. If you have a slab, it could be an issue. So I think making sure your downspouts are where your water is actually going to ends up being the other part of that gutter cleaning conversation.
And everyone in Chicago knows the correct answer is you run it to your neighbor's yard, right? Please don't. Please, like that is the amount of times that we've had to call 311 and call insurance and be like, this guy literally. We had a house. We had a building a 4-unit building, brand new, get constructed next to one of our properties. It was a vacant land, and then it got constructed, and they ran all their all of it to our yard, which sloped down into the house. It was it took us a month to get a hold of them and to get serve papers and be because we didn't want to. We just wanted to be hey, just move it over so it's not going to us. But they wouldn't respond, so we had to serve papers. It became a whole thing. But yes, do not run it to your neighbors.
Yeah, we had a guy. We didn't know this till years later. It was actually property I owned. He dug the sewer. He put it into the ground, but it just it emptied at the property line. Like it went underground about 12 feet and just emptied the property line and just like dead ended. Like it didn't even run it. I think it ran into some peat gravel, similar to somehow the drains do at the bottom of the stairs in the city. But he built it that way. It went right into our yard over the line. That we found out later he didn't like the neighbor before.
So he did it on purpose.
So, like he was just trying to be a jerk, man. Like so. But yeah, funny things you hear about that stuff. But yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here today. I appreciate everyone that gave some comments and some feedback. We love hearing the comments. If you found this valuable, please share this with a friend. If you're not catching it live, you can still find it on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and I believe Instagram. It saves on there. I'm not sure if it saves for sure, but we are live on there. Stay tuned for next week. We'll be back talking with more updates, and hopefully we'll see some of you guys here tonight at the soiree. So,
hey guys, if you watch us, don't be shy. Mark's gonna have a booth. I'll be walking around. Come up to us, say hi. Like I said, you might even get a chance to be on Mark's podcast. So don't be shy.
I'm not gonna have a booth. I'm not a booth guy. I hate standing.
Oh, I thought you. Oh, you're sponsoring, but you don't have a booth.
They offered it, but we're doing the podcast, so I like to do that better. So it's even better for me. So
find Mark, find myself. We'll see you guys tonight and next week.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week.